Thank you for being here. We'd like to call the regular City Council meeting to order on Tuesday, September 15th, 2015. At this time, is Pastor Steve Adamson here? Pastor, come on up. We're going to have him from the Maricopa Community Church give us our invocation, after which we'll ask Councilmember Wade if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Pastor Adamson.
Thank you, Mayor Price. I know why you're asking if I'm here or not, because I left you in the lurch last time, and you're very gracious to ask me back. Well, let's open in prayer, shall we? Our Heavenly Father, I just want to, as I think of each of these council members and see their picture on the city website and try to remember their names today, I was wondering what it is that they might need just to be the best possible servants of yours. And we know they're on a mission here, placed, at least at your permission, in this position, and they're wanting to fulfill what you've commanded us to do, and looking on the interests, not only their own personal interests, but also be concerned for the interests of others. And I just thank you, Lord, for their willingness to get outside of themselves and serve the people's business tonight. I pray that cool heads and warm hearts would prevail. And Lord, may we all just take a lesson from Mayor Price's example in being gracious to me when I left him hanging last week to ask me and give me a second chance to pray tonight. May it be an example that we all follow as we want to be a community where there is an attitude of grace and where people can have second chances. So we thank you for giving us a second chance by providing that for us through your Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Adamson. Appreciate it. Nothing wrong with a little redemption. It's good for all of us. Thank you again. With that, we'll move to the roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapados? Here. Councilmember Kimball? Here. Councilmember Manfredi? Here. Councilmember Smith? Here. Councilmember Wade? Here. Vice Mayor Brown? Here. Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. That'll take us to item 3. We're going to talk about proclamations at this time. We have 2 proclamations to do. The first one is going to be on Hispanic Heritage Month. So I think Councilmember Smith is going to join me at the podium here, and we're going to start with that one. Jake, you out there? Come on up. How are you, sir? All right. We're going to start, I have a proclamation. I wanted to read it to you all. This says, whereas the history of the state of Arizona and the city of Maricopa are similar and parallel with the history of Hispanics in our great city, and whereas according to the United States Census Bureau, in 2005, 21% of the residents in Maricopa were of Hispanic background. And whereas, according to the United States Census Bureau, by 2010, 24% of the residents of Maricopa were of Hispanic background, and Americans of Hispanic descent make contributions in every facet of our society. And whereas according to the Arizona State University 2010 study, more than $35 billion flow into Arizona's economy by the state's Hispanic community. That has created an enormous impact, which positively contributes to the quality of life for all Arizonans. Whereas Hispanic Americans enrich our arts and our culture, they serve at every level of government, contribute to our state's economy by creating businesses, opportunity, and jobs. They serve valiantly in the military and law enforcement and have played a significant role in making our state strong and prosperous. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month pays tribute to and recognizes the numerous outstanding accomplishments, past and present, that these individuals made to our city, our state, our nation, and the world. And therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month in the City of Maricopa, and call upon the citizens of this community to observe and commemorate Hispanic Heritage Month as we continue our commitment of becoming a great place to live and work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to first introduce Jake Romero. Jake came to me and said, Nancy, I really would like to celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month, and I thought it was a great idea, so Jake has a few words that he'd like to share with you.
They're taller than me. Good evening. The history of Hispanics in North America can be dated back 450 years to August 28, 1565, when Pedro Mendez de Avilés arrived in what today is the city of San Agustin, Florida. Since then, Hispanics have been an integral part of the fabric of this great country, the United States of America. The contributions are countless, and the influence of this rich culture can be seen everywhere. When Hispanics are referred to as a minority, I know it's not because of their capacity, contributions, competitiveness, or love of country. It's only because numerically we're not as many. Most of us in this room are immigrants, children of immigrants, or grandchildren of immigrants. Our ancestors moved here looking for freedom, security, and just a better life. They, along with people from all over the world, have formed this modern, sociological, successful experiment called America. Israel Sandwell, a British writer of Jewish descent, wrote a play about a young man named David, a Jewish immigrant who fled Russia at the beginning of the 19th century. David moved to the United States after his family was killed in an anti-Jewish riot. He meets a Russian girl named Vera, who he loves, falls deeply in love with. When David meets Vera's father, he realizes that Vera's father is the officer responsible for his family's demise. The play ends after David forgives Vera's father, and they kiss after getting engaged right before the curtain falls. The name of this play is The Melting Pot. I would like to read an excerpt of the play, and it says, Vera says, so, your music you find inspiration in America? David says, yes, in the setting of the crucible. The crucible? I don't understand. David says, not understand? You, the spirit of settlement? Not understand that America is God's crucible, the great melting pot, where all the races of Europe are melting and reforming? Here you stand. When I see the Manellis Island, here you stand. In the 50 groups, with your 50 languages and histories and your 50 blood hatreds and rivalries. But you won't belong like that. Brothers, for these are the fires of God you've come to. These are the fires of God, a fig for your feuds and vendettas, Germans and French, Irishmen and English, Jewish and Russians, into the crucible with you all. God is making the American. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe today God still is making Americans. Thank you.
So today, we want to recognize two outstanding American Hispanics that have played a major role in our city of Maricopa. So I'd first like to welcome up Cecilia Estrada Ash. Please give her a hand. As you can tell, many people in the audience know Cecilia very well. I want to give you just a little bit of a bio. Cecilia was born in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and is the daughter of Pedro and Virginia Estrada. She is a graduate of the Southwestern Graduate School of Banking, part of Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. In addition, Cecilia is a graduate of the Western State School of Banking at the University of New Mexico and the National Commercial Consumer Lending School at the University of Oklahoma. Quite a resume so far, huh? Cecilia started her banking career right out of high school up to the present and is currently working for Landings Credit Union in Tempe, Arizona. Cecilia has 35 years in banking. Cecilia is married to Michael J. Ash, also from Alamogordo. They have 3 children, Gina, Monica, and Anthony Ash. So, how has Cecilia served our community? This is overwhelming. It's quite amazing. Cecilia has served as board of director for the Hospital of Gerald Champion Memorial of Alamogordo, New Mexico, and Casa Grande Regional Medical Hospital in Arizona. She also served on the board of Maricopa Economic Development Alliance, served on the Industrial Development Authority for the City of Maricopa. She is the past 2-term president of the Maricopa Rotary Club. She has been on the Finance Committee of Our Lady of Grace Church, a member of the Maricopa Parks, Rec, and Library Advisory Committee, who helped bring our 140-acre park that we know today as Copper Sky to Maricopa. And Cecilia is a cancer survivor. So we are delighted to have Cecilia here, and we recognize all that she's done for the city of Maricopa. And I just ask that you give her one more round of applause. All right, I think this next one is a surprise. I'd like to welcome up Becky Bandon. So, if you don't know Becky, I'd like to introduce you to her. She was born in Phoenix and moved to Maricopa in 1959. She attended elementary school in Phoenix, but is a proud Maricopa High School graduate. She married David Bendine from McAllen, Texas, 52 short years ago in May of 1963. David had moved as a child to Maricopa. They have 5 sons and plenty of grandchildren who attend Maricopa schools. So, what has Becky done? This is overwhelming what she has done in the city of Maricopa. Becky worked at Maricopa Unified High School for 38 years. 38 years she has given to this community. And from what I understand, you just recently retired last year?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. She worked as a teacher's aide, migrant aide, and clerk. She assisted parents and teachers with translating letters, IEP meetings, and parent-teacher conferences. As a migrant aide, she completed home visits and worked to help families with any needs. She was able to travel out of state for conferences and meet any migrant aides from Arizona across the country. When her sons were young, she volunteered as youth baseball coach for several years. Becky is still actively involved in volunteering for her church. So let's give Becky one more round of applause.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you all very much for being here this evening and participating in that. Tori, come on up. I don't have a bio on Tori, but hers is about as long. But we do have a proclamation, something that if you know Tori Anderson, she's been very passionate about domestic violence and abuse and things that take place in our community, unfortunately, every day. And it's unfortunate, we wish that didn't happen, but she's been very instrumental in making sure that if those things do happen and when they happen, that those folks have a place to stay. And so we are going to actually roll a video here, and then we're going to come back to this proclamation. So roll the video, please.
About 2 years ago, I was a victim of domestic violence. It was a long marriage, and it started small and just kept growing bigger and bigger till this violence got so big and out of control that I could no longer contain it in the walls of my house. Police were called, and victims advocate came out to my house and sat down with me after an arrest was made and started explaining to me, okay, this is what's going on.
The Victim Assistance Program is a place where victims can be heard, valued, and supported throughout the criminal justice process.
My job is to be there on the worst day of someone's life, to know that they're not alone, to know that they can get through it, that they're going to recover, and to let them know that there are resources available to help them to do that.
Sitting down with that victim advocate that night really opened my eyes to the reality this actually could be domestic violence.
When an incident occurs or a critical event occurs, the police officers will call dispatch to have victim assistance respond.
Anything from house fire to domestic abuse, any type of injury or accident where there's a victim involved, I could be called to any of those.
With the assistance of the victim's advocate, you can understand the system better and not feel so much like you're being re-victimized, and just kind of having a better understanding of why the system has to work this way. So that was a big help for me. Also, they gave me some direction to go as far as medical assistance, mental health assistance, different resources that are available through the state and through the counties and city agencies to assist with domestic violence victims and families.
We provide emotional support, offer safety planning, give them resources and referrals, and then courtroom advocacy as the case may progress through the criminal justice system.
Anything they say to us is completely confidential, other than anything actually germane to a crime. Anything that would be required to be reported to the police would be information germane to a crime being committed. Other than that, everything they say to us is completely confidential.
We can offer support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And even if you say no the first time and you don't want the service, we're always here to listen when you're ready.
There's nothing worse than needing someone and having no one there. I'm glad that I can be that person for somebody when they really need the help. And I've seen it many, many times. I've had victims hug me and thank me for being there for them. And that's big. That's very big.
It's changed not just mine, but my children's lives too. And I don't think we would be where we are today if it wasn't for the Victims Advocate Program.
Thank you very much for that video. Excellent. Music. But no, the reality is that I just wanted to make you all aware that the Victims Advocate Assistance Program is something that through Chief Stahl and Mary Wachowski and the volunteers that they've made possible in the city of Maricopa. Everyone thinks that that's something that should just be standard in all cities, and we'd love it to be, but the reality is it's very costly and it's very difficult to do, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of coordination to happen. And so the fact that you have this in a city as young as ours that is up and operational is a real tribute and a testament to the volunteers, to people like Tori, certainly to the police chief and all the police officers and those that volunteer their time. And so again, many thanks to them. But with that, let me read this proclamation very quickly. It says, all Arizonans are affected by domestic violence directly or indirectly, with more than 1 million victims seeking medical assistance for injuries caused by battering. And whereas 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men aged 18 and older in the United States have been the victims of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And an estimated 30 to 60% of the families where either domestic violence or child maltreatment is identified, it is likely that both forms of abuse exist. Studies show that for victims who experience severe forms of domestic violence, their children are also in danger of suffering serious physical harm. Whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but across all economic, racial, affectional preference, and societal barriers. And violence against women and children continue to become more prevalent as a social problem due to the imbalance of power due to gender and age. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to systemic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse. And whereas battered women have been in the forefront in efforts to bring peace and equality to the home, whereas this community recognizes the vital importance of increasing the general public's awareness and support of agencies providing services to domestic violence victims and perpetrators. And whereas we hold forth a vision as a community of one that is free from domestic violence. Now therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2015 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Maricopa. Let's give Tori a big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for your participation and for being here this evening. That concludes our item 3 on the agenda, the proclamations, and that will move us to the report from the mayor. As you know, we are approaching the fall months, and as you feel the air getting cooler, so does all of the activity pick up, and things are very, very hectic and busy. I wanted to address something that was out floating around on Facebook today about some problems that exist regarding some trash in the area and in the city. We have several things happening that we are trying to address as a council and as a city, but one of the things that is always the most important is that when people decide to volunteer and help clean up trash or other issues, it's probably the most effective way to make things happen. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to the fact that I was contacted by one of our police officers who talked to Police Chief Stahl today. The Police Explorers are going to be meeting at Walmart at 8 a.m. to help clean up that area around Walmart that so often gets dirty and trash collected around it. It is open to anybody who would like to participate, but we do want to give a big shout out to our police explorers who are learning that not only is being a future police officer important on the law side, but also in giving service. So again, many thanks for that. At this time, I also wanted to address a few other things. I wanted to do a save the date if you are interested in coming for some free food, and that's the only reason I would think you would come, but the State of the City is going on, and I'll be speaking, so if you want to hear me talk, and I think really if you want the free food, save the date for October 15th at 6 p.m. That's the time where we'll have hors d'oeuvres and other things, and we'll be letting you know what we're doing here in the city, where we've made progress, and where we're going from there. No comments from the peanut gallery over here. You're not invited. No, I appreciate it. You get a flyer out there, and love to have you there. Also, probably last but not least, but one of the things that you may or may not know is that we are having a census, and the census is taking place here in the city of Maricopa. There seems to be some confusion that if we don't hit the number of 50,000 that we're so desperately going for, that's going to mean that we get nothing. That's not the case. The reality is that any population growth over the amount brings a rate of return to the city, so to speak. And so it's important that everybody stand up and be counted. But there is a secondary portion that if we do show that we're over 50,000, it certainly helps our efforts as we go to things like ICSC, the International Conference of Shopping Centers, and as we talk with the Targets and the Home Depots and the clothing stores of the world that everybody so desperately wants here. It helps us sell that message on why it's an underserved area and how we'd love that business to come here. So it certainly helps, but please be aware of that. Again, let's make sure you open your doors. As of October 1, the enumerators will be knocking at your door, and it's really important. So apparently, wait a second. Apparently this is a recycled hat because it's not 2015, it's 2010. So we really need you to open your doors and be counted because apparently we can't even afford a 2015 hat. So that's how bad a position the city's in. So please open your door. Cutbacks, I know. Thank you. I just want you to also know that your city council members do more than you ever know. In fact, they're going to be up for an Oscar here very shortly. And so we've been hard at work at a production, and I don't have the production to show you at this council meeting, but I do have a blooper reel to show you. So would you roll film? It's October 1st, Census Day in the city of Maricopa. I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. Good grief. Sorry. Hey, council members. I don't know your names.
Well, you were getting ready for the other one.
Yeah, I sure was. Hey, council members Kimball and Wade. How are you guys? What
Hey, Mayor. Hey, so do you know what day it is today?
What day?
It's October 1st, Census Day, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, we just wanted to stop by and make sure you're ready for the census, because, you know, more blood.
Yeah, I screwed you all up.
That's all right.
Hey, Councilmembers Manfredi and Smith, how are you guys?
We're good. How are you doing, Mayor?
Good.
How you doing today, Mayor?
Great.
Hey, Christian, I have an important question for you.
What's that?
Are you ready for the census today?
I sure am.
That's good, because you know something happens.
See, it does not
You
ever
know.
play out to be easy.
Hello, it's Christian.
Hi, Mayor. Happy Census Day. It's Councilmember Chapados and Vice Mayor Brown.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you? How are you guys doing?
Krista, I just want to tell you, don't be afraid to answer the door to the enumerators.
Yeah, they've been screened and fingerprinted, and they have badges, so there's nothing to be afraid of.
Chris, trust me.
Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. What badges?
Okay, cut.
He stole my line.
So clearly you can see it's Oscar-worthy, right? Come on. No, that's just us trying to have a little fun to get the word out. So as we get that sucker out there, we'll post it on the webpage. We'd appreciate it if you'd share it over your Facebook and really get the word out, because we want as many people counted as possible. It's 6 questions, less than 10 minutes. It's a cakewalk. So again, it's crucial to our city's growth. So we'd appreciate your help on that. With that, that concludes the mayor's report at this time, and we'll move it to the report from the city manager. Thank you. And before I move to the call to the public, I did forget that it's Vince's birthday today, so everyone give him a big round of applause. What? Oh, it's also Chief Stahl's birthday today, too. He didn't think he was getting away with that. Yeah. Yeah, they're both turning 29 again, exactly. All right, that'll move us to the call to the public. At this time, I do have a speaker card for Dr. John and May. If you want to come up and talk to us about Kids Day Maricopa, the floor is yours for the next 3 minutes. After which, anyone else who'd like to approach the podium, we'd love to hear from you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you today? We are here to talk about Kids Day Maricopa. About 8 years ago, the former mayor and Pinal County Supervisor, Tony Smith, had made the 3rd Saturday of September Kids Day Maricopa. So what we do there is teach kids about health, safety, and environmental awareness. And we have about 75 activities that go on there. Free food, like you were saying, great. Free drink, free toys, and he's thirsty. So some of the things that we like to talk about involve some of the safety of the community. We're trying to get the word out about seatbelt safety, gun safety. You know, around the pools, we want to have water safety. People don't understand how fast that can happen, where your kid could fall in and drown. I actually had an incident with my own son. I was standing right there. I turned for a second, and he slipped and fell into the pool, and I had to jump down and dive. He just went straight under.
It's terrifying.
So it is terrifying.
It only takes a second.
So we have everyone there. The police department will be there. The fire department will be there. They'll be doing the canines, also a demonstration with that, the motorcycle demonstrations. Fire department will have the safety house there to teach you how to get out of the fires. We're also going to have a lot of fun things there. Kung Fu Panda will be there, and Kermit the Frog. Casey Gannis is going to be there, who is the youngest NASCAR driver. I think our license is like 15 years old or something, and has been driving, so she'll be there. She usually brings her car. What other things? We have dance, we have karate, we have gymnastics, petting zoo. We have Southern Dunes is coming out. They're doing a golf thing. The first tee will be there doing that as well. There are so many things. Anything you have to add, May? I don't know.
And then, of course, our mayor will be at Kids Day, Senator Smith.
Yeah.
Peggy, we see you there every year. Nancy, thank you guys. Henry, he's behind the scenes, really helping keep everything rolling smoothly. We call it organized chaos.
Yes, the council is awesome. I don't know if the public knows, but the mayor and council all show up there. They're always there, always supporting, always wanting to make sure the community is safe, and I know that they're there for that very reason. Laura Walsh and Joanna Joy are going to be there as well, if you like the music, so they're our very own. I think it's time. Okay, so before we run on, Kids Day is at Maricopa Wells Middle School.
September 19th, this Saturday.
This Saturday from 10 to 4. 10 to 4. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do for that. Excellent. Tori.
Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Brown, Council, Tori Anderson, just in case you didn't know my name. On behalf of Against Abuse, I want to thank the City of Maricopa and every single resident that has helped us build our shelter for our families that they can be safe and they have a place to go. It's been an incredible journey. The journey's not over. Yeah, the building is built and it is fully occupied, fully staffed, but now we have to keep it open. So we continuously will be on that journey. So I just wanted to thank everybody for being a part of this project for the last 10 years. As a lifelong resident of Maricopa, it's been a passion of mine, especially as a teacher, to make sure that we take care of our community members because they are our future. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that how grateful I am for the opportunity to make this city even better. So as with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we do have a couple things going on. On October 17th, we have our Break the Silence and the Violence Walk, which is going to be at Copper Sky at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's free. We want families to come out, wear purple. We're going to have social services and anything that possibly will be victims assistance, anything that would be part of the county will be there. So it's a good opportunity to come out and be a part of it. It's also going to be on the Stagecoach Days poster, but it is free and everybody's welcome, and we hope that we have a good turnout so that we can walk to end domestic violence in our city. The same weekend, we also have the Taste of Casa Grande, and this is the only other fundraiser we do besides the gala, which goes to Against Abuse. It is from 1 to 4. It's $50 a person. It's all you can eat. We have 30 restaurants that have donated their time and product so that you can come and taste everything and so you know where you want to go eat when you have date night. So it's a great opportunity to, again, come out. We have over 1,000 people. It's just kind of an open house, so that's another opportunity to be able to be a part of the community. And it's going to be at the property in Casa Grande. Also, the governor is going to be lighting the Capitol purple for the month of October. So what I would like to do, and Victims Assistance is also a part of this, but we want to invite anybody who would like to replace their front door porch light with a purple bulb for the month of October to signify the support for the survivors and that we are going to stop the violence in our city. So with that, if anybody has questions, you have my email, my phone number, you know how to get a hold of me. But thank you again for everybody's support. It's just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tori. Appreciate it. Dan.
Mayor, Council, my name is Dan Frank, and I'm one of the candidates running for one of the two open seats for the Maricopa Flood Control District Board. And when I tell people that, I get a lot of surprise. One, that there's an election coming up. And the election is right after the census kicks off. The election is going to be on October 7th, and it's going to be held, it's a Wednesday, so it's middle of the week, and it's middle of the day, 9 to 4. So people are surprised by that. They're also surprised that there's even a district. They don't know anything about the flood control district. So that's one of the things I hope to change, is to bring a better awareness of that. Then lastly, they're surprised that they pay taxes towards this district. So it's really an awareness thing that we really want to bring about and let people know that this exists and how it impacts the city. So I'm here tonight not to really campaign, but just to bring awareness that there is an election coming. And I'm probably preaching to the choir, as most people here that attend this meeting are involved and active in the community. And, but again, just a reminder that there is the election. Now, like I say, you can go down there and vote on October 7th, but really the easiest thing to do is to just request a mail-in ballot. Now, you can find the mail-in ballot request form on the district's website, and that's maricopafcd.com. Just go there, it's right on their front page. Download that, fill it out, send it back in. They have to be received back to them by the 26th, I believe is the date, but you still have ample time to do that. And I have a few copies of that request form here tonight with me if anybody wants to get with me after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to approach the council at this time? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on. Thank you very much for your participation. We'll move on to the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve items 7.1 and 7.2, please?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. There are no public hearings at this time, and right before this meeting, I received a request to actually pull items 9.1 and 9.3 from the consent agenda from Councilmember Smith. So we will move those to the first two items on the regular agenda. So if I can have a motion to approve consent minus 9.1 and 9.3, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? So I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. So that'll take us to the regular agenda under item 10. And before we go to 10, we'll go to 9.1 and 9.3. Starting with 9.1, Nancy, I would turn that over to you for any questions you might have of staff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure if the question is for Bill or for Gregory, but back when we discussed the budget and we talked specifically about the contingency fund, we commented that the contingency fund was going to be for super critical or something to that effect. So I'm curious, this is the same question on 9.3 as well. We are using on this one $16K of contingency funds, and I just like to better understand the super critical part of it.
We'll let Bill address the majority of it, but the short answer, Councilwoman Smith, is that we are using the funds to cover the cost for the review of plans. So the plans that are submitted to the city, we currently have a vacant position. The bulk of the expenses are being borne by both salary savings as well as benefits savings for that position. But there is an incremental amount that needs to be covered that's outside of that. So once we fill the position, we anticipate that there is a potential for still having savings at the end of it. That just depends upon when that position is filled, and if so, then those funds would revert back to the contingency fund. But I think that's accurate, and I'd ask Bill to step in if that's anything that he needs to clarify with that answer.
I don't think I can really add anything to that. Much for the short answer, he pretty much nailed it there. Other than if these plans don't get reviewed and plan reviewer, we're trying to hire the plan reviewer position, we've been unable to, through the mayor, Councilwoman Smith, if we don't hire that position and we don't hire a contract person to do it, the plans after a certain amount of time get deemed approved, and we're kind of stuck with whatever, and the CIP project to fix what's in those plans will be a lot more expensive. Other than that, and we've got a contract person who's just more expensive. Other than that, the city manager already kind of nailed it, I think.
So we knew that this would be needed during the year, and I'm curious as to why it wasn't part of the original budget and we have to draw from contingency for it?
No, through the mayor, Councilman Smith, we didn't know, and we had a plan reviewer who was paid a normal salary. She's a great person. I don't tell her that because it would have gone to her head and she'd have been impossible to deal with. But she was a great plan reviewer, but she resigned and moved to Idaho, and we are trying to backfill that position. This is the contract person who is on holding the ship steady while we are attempting to backfill that position.
So I'm not sure exactly how the process works, but because that position is vacant at the time, at the moment, wouldn't it be possible to use the funds that are associated with that vacancy to cover this $16K rather than using contingency?
we are, through the mayor, Councilman Smith, we are using the salary savings and and benefits to pay most of the contract, but it's not enough. The contract costs, I think, $16,000 more during this period.
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Smith, to your question, we could hold off on this item and simply use existing both salaries and benefits until that's exhausted. But we know at this date that that will be exhausted because the cost that we're paying the contractor exceeds the amount that we budgeted. So we're trying to be proactive in this effort since before we run out of funding. That's why I am recommending approval of it, because we know that we're going to exhaust those funds.
That answer your questions, Councilmember Smith?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I'm sorry, if I could also answer 9.3 at this point, which is a grant application that's being made. And regarding those grant applications, we don't know whether the grants will be opened up, and I'd ask Chief Stahl to come up and help me respond to this. We don't know at the time of budgeting that those grants are going to be available. That's only learned afterwards. And so that's why I think this is an appropriate expenditure. If you look at the total amount of funding that's being received, compare that to the amount that we are actually covering, it is a small amount. So the resources that we are getting far exceed the amount that we are recommending that you approve via contingency fund. And it's for, as I'm sure you're aware, a program that needs to exist and will help several families here in Maricopa.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, go ahead, Chief Stahl.
Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Brown, Councilwoman Smith, to echo what City Manager Rose said, the grant cycle for federal grants is far different than state grants. Currently, we're receiving ACJC funding to fund a part-time victim advocate position, and then we've worked out an arrangement with the city prosecutors to work out the rest of that salary arrangement so that we can address as many of the victims of crime as we can. ACJC has stated, and Mary has attended a full-day training session, ACJC funding will most likely go away in this category, and that was something new that was learned during this training session. But what had come about was a huge increase in the federal funding from Violence Against Women Act that had not been funded, had only been funded at about $7 million for the state of Arizona, will now increase to $40 million. They strongly encouraged us, every city, to take advantage of this opportunity because they foresee this funding being here for quite some time, but to make sure you ask for all the positions that you absolutely need. To give you an example, the city of El Mirage has 3 victim advocates assigned to them. Their population is 11,000. We have 50,000, we have 1. I'm asking for 2. The in-kind match is not out of contingency fund. The match is taken up of both the current ACJC funding for the 3 months that it will overlap and our own personnel resources, so there is no contingency funding allocated at all. Now there is contingency funding, or I shouldn't say contingency funding, there are financial obligations that we will have to cover if we are awarded the funding for the advocacy center. But that, again, as the city manager said, if we receive that grant, what we're receiving is a whole lot more than what we will end up putting out.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, if I could just very briefly while we're on this, I recognize that for this fiscal year we significantly reduced the contingency fund, and so what I'm doing is looking at it over, we are coming to the close of our first quarter, and so I am trying to track what is the amount of contingency fund that's available compared to what quarter we're in. And from that perspective, we're in very good shape.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councilman Smith?
No.
Have you had them answered to your satisfaction that we can move to a motion on 9.1? Yes. Okay. Is there a motion for 9.1? So moved. Is there a second? So there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposed. Okay. With 6 and 1, please. That motion carries. 9.3 at this time. Also, have you had your questions answered sufficiently on 9.3? That being the case, can we have a motion to approve 9.3, please? We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to item 10.1. This is a resolution of the Mayor and City Council authorizing the imposition and collection of fees for the rental of the Aquatic Center amenities at the Copper Sky Multi-Generational Aquatic Center recreational facility and amending the Community Services Department fee schedule and the Copper Sky Multi-Generational Aquatic Center fee schedule to include these fees. Rocky, take it away.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I bring before you the fees that were presented previously. They've been posted for 60 days. I'll let you know exactly what those are and go through what we're proposing. A little background, the Community Services Department charges for programs, events, and rentals of facilities that are coordinated through our department. The goal for the fees and charges is to assist with cost recovery associated with parks, facilities, and programs. January 21st, 2014, the Multi-Generational Center and Aquatic Center fee schedule was adopted. The pool itself has been operating since Memorial Day 2014. Since that time, staff has identified areas that could be more cost-effective and better accommodate pool rentals, as well as renting out lanes in the competitive pool. A timeline, on June 24th, 2015, the proposed rates were presented to our Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Advisory Committee, and they moved forward with them. On July 7, 2015, we proposed the rates during a council work session. July 15th, we put those proposed fees on the city website for public comment for 60 days. We did benchmarking to come up with the fees. I highlight some of the cities. Oro Valley, they have a nice new pool that they opened. You can see their rates. We looked at Chandler, Scottsdale, Goodyear, Lake Havasu, Mesa, and Arizona State. You can see the cheapest one for a sponsored team in Scottsdale was $3 per lane per hour, and it climbed up till $15 to $25 per hour. The rates that we are proposing, we decided to go as low as possible. It's a newer facility. We want to give teams and the best possible chance to get a foot going, get a foot and get a team and grow a team. So we were charging $3 per lane per hour for residents. For our non-residents rate, we typically just add 25% onto whatever the resident rate is. And then we also have some rental options for renting out one entire pool, the leisure pool, or the entire complex. And those rates are based on to cover the lifeguard costs that are needed to make sure everybody there is safe with the numbers. I'm here to answer any questions or comments you might have.
Council, any questions at this time? Like I said, we've gone over this before, and it's been out there for a long time for public comment. So I know that my biggest concern was our swim team and how that would work. I know that we've been working very closely with them in Copper Sky and making some transitions, as well as many of the council members have heard from constituents on that. And I think that there is some resolution. I know that it's operational and moving forward and those types of things. So.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we currently do have a swim team going right now. It's they were out there practicing this afternoon, set up. We had a little transition in coaching, and we've made some amendments to that, but the parents right now are satisfied. Their kids are in the pool. We want to keep kids in the pool, but we also want to give them options. Sometimes they might want a more competitive team to come in and do a little bit more of a club sport. It's a lot like our soccer. We offer a recreational soccer program. We don't keep score. Kids are out there, they play, they have fun. But then there's club soccer where they travel and go to tournaments, and the costs escalate with all that. So right now we have all the bases covered. We have a swim team that's great for the kids that are in the pool, and we also are opening up options for future teams to come in and use our facilities and recoup some revenue for the city.
Gotcha. Perfect. And also just one last final comment on that. I know that the parents of a lot of these children during this coaching change were able to come to PRL and, you know, voice concerns and really hash some of this out. So again, by the time it's come here, that's all been eradicated for the most part. So
that's great.
Perfect and corrected. All right. Is there any additional questioning on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, and let me actually redo that with a roll call. You know, I was notified of that and I still went on. you get on a roll, no pun intended. So roll call, please.
Councilmember Kimball? Yes. Vice Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Chapados?
Yes.
Councilmember Wade?
Yes.
Councilmember Manfredi?
Yes.
Mayor Price?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this evening. That concludes our regular agenda. And can I have a motion to move to E-session, please? Motion, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We'll adjourn for 2 weeks. Thank you for coming.